Has the WrestleMania 41 main event been revealed? We'll talk about it. Plus, the backstage reaction to the WWE Paul Levesque Era changes, and a major Raw star is taking time off. It's all in the Cultaholic Wrestling news right now. So, a year away, I think we've got an indication of what the Mania 41 main event's going to be. And I think the common school of thought was going to be Rock and Roman.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this earlier, and you seem to think we'd maybe have this particular match at SummerSlam that we're about to talk about.
Silly me.
God, he's such an idiot.
I'm such an idiot, honestly. The Wrestling Observer reporting today that the plan currently is to have The Rock headline Mania 41, the first WrestleMania on Netflix, but not against Roman Reigns, but against the WWE champion, Cody Rhodes.
Which is massive.
That is a big main event, and it's something that I think probably wasn't on their books until the last few months.
Well, until Rock came back and then got soundly rejected, yeah.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And the interactions
but don't
those
worry,
two
he
have had,
came up with the whole thing.
Yeah, he planned it all. That was it. I knew it would fail, but that was part of the plan. I planned for that part.
Like, it's monumental, and it means we're likely to see Cody hold the belt at least for a year.
Potentially. Now, the thing that they point out in the Observer is that whilst the match is set to feature Cody and Rock for the WWE title, it doesn't necessarily mean that Cody will hold the belt for the entire year.
That's very true. I mean, Cody could lose it next week, win it back the week before Mania, and then face Rock, right?
I mean, that. Yeah. I mean, I know I was an idiot for thinking it, but my idea of SummerSlam isn't terrible.
I think it's a tentpole show, right? So I think you need a big moment at SummerSlam. It's the Mania of the summer. So I think you need something in and around the Cody situation there. But I think we've just had such a long reign. I wouldn't, not that I want it, not that I'm willing it into existence, but it feels like we're due some shenanigans.
I think I'm going to put this out there now. Feel free to cut this and keep it and pop it in your pocket. I think Cody loses the belt to The Rock at SummerSlam. Cody wins it back at Mania with help from Roman Reigns.
Oh no, because then Cody's needed help twice to win the belt. Cody needs to win that belt without help at least once if he's going to lose it again.
That's true.
He's going to win it cleanly.
Okay.
He loses it the week before SummerSlam on a random Raw. Then he wins it back at SummerSlam cleanly. And then he loses it again. And he wins it back at Mania with the help of Roman Reigns.
There you go. We've done it. Whatever they're thinking, as we say, this is going to be the first WrestleMania on Netflix. So they're going to want to do something big and marquee. And The Rock being involved isn't a bad shout in it either.
I'm a bit worried, though, because Netflix tends to cancel everything after one season.
So you reckon...
this WrestleMania didn't do 500 billion views.
Did it not? Can we see the numbers? No.
We're cancelling it. Season 1, that's all you're going to have now. The first 41 episodes.
That's all you're allowed to have. Mania 40 was the first Mania under the Paul Levesque Era. This was something that they very subtly mentioned during WrestleMania weekend. I don't know whether you caught it, but I think it's the Paul Levesque Era.
It was sort of like if you imagine Hacksaw Jim Duggan with his 2x4, but the 2x4 just has Paul Levesque written in huge writing, and he's just beating you round the back of the head with it like you're the Iron Sheik.
No, someone else is, because Paul Levesque doesn't.
No, Jim Duggan's doing it for Paul.
Oh, Duggan's doing it for him.
No, Paul's going, don't make it about me, guys.
Not Paul. Oh, you don't want me in the photograph, Levesque. Not at all. Now, last night was the Raw after WrestleMania. The previous Raw after WrestleMania in 2023 was subject to a lot of last-minute changes and frustration at the hands of Vince McMahon, who ripped up the script moments before, something that we've seen quite a lot of. Not really a factor last night. Fightful spoke to WWE sources ahead of the Raw after WrestleMania about this.
They said those we spoke to claimed that last year's show would have been much better without Vince McMahon's involvement, and they expect this year's show to be much more fun and to further prove a point that things are changing. Overall, according to Fightful sources, there's positivity in this new era as well, with the most successful periods of WWE were babyface periods where fans were passionate about talent and they were rewarded, and this weekend felt like that, a source said. And I think that's right. We were talking about this earlier off camera, where the idea that the company being held up on a bit of a pedestal really, I don't know, just sort of...
Because there's been a lot of periods where WWE have done very well in every optic, despite the fact that fans were down on it. We've sat here for many years, and our sentiment has gone up and down.
Look at the build-up to all of the sale and everything, where it's just mind-numbingly, oh God, what are we going to do next? It's going to be, scripts getting torn up all the time. Still making record profits.
They'll make money regardless. But at the moment, it seems like, as they say, a babyface era almost for WWE is the Paul Levesque one. Lots of love for the production as well. They say WWE's in-truck production also got high marks over WrestleMania weekend. Was said to be an integral in furthering the new era of WWE, according to Fightful. Sam, you are probably the most production-y guy, the most articulate when it comes to this thing. What are your thoughts on WWE's new era of production?
I think just generally WWE has an incredible production. It's very rare that you would see, if you think about WWE as a TV show, right? But that stage takes, like a whole day to build every single time. Like there's a whole thing involved. It's all going to work like a well-oiled machine. And then when you get to the point where it's the truck and you're looking at the actual cameras, it feels like we are cooling off a lot on those old WWE ways of doing things where, it's a lot of hyper cuts, a lot of crash zooms, a lot of that. We're still got elements of it, of course, because it's a signature part of WWE's visual style now, for better or worse. But it does feel like we're simplifying it. And it feels like we're going down to a more stripped back sports style presentation. For my money, if we could lose the AR, I'd be buzzing, but I know we're probably not going to be able to lose the AR because it's the future, and pretty soon you'll be able to attend one of these events in your Apple goggles, look up, and there's 50 billion foot tall Roman Reigns. But for the time being, I get why they're doing it, but for me, I'm all about just making sports as sports-centric a production from a production standpoint as possible. Obviously, you can't just do that with the in-ring work and everything. It's got to be drama. It's wrestling. But I think just a more direct approach to just film it matter-of-factly, it just makes it feel a bit more believable for people that maybe aren't willing to give wrestling as much of a chance or as much leeway when they're being shown wrestling.
I think so. I think you're on the money with a lot of that stuff there. There certainly it feels like there is a move slightly more towards that. We're getting less camera cuts every 12 and a half milliseconds.
If you go back and look at even like 2001, 2002, it's very flat. It's very, and I get that it's not a very sexy style, right? And not like what WWE style would go on to become with all the crash zooms and 50 cameras around the ring and everything going crazy and cameramen jumping up and down with people getting hit with chairs and stuff like that. But there's something charming about the fact that it's just cameras there to capture what's happening. And ultimately, you're there to watch what's happening. You're not there to be wowed by, oh, look at the camera. It's nice to see like the 8K camera and stuff, but I'm glad it's not like twisting through time and space and, doing all the crazy stuff it was once doing.
In terms of the commentary and the way that the scripts flow as well, Fightful saying that there's been some big changes there as well. And one name in particular pretty much being outcast from the company. No surprises as to what that name is though, right?
Who could that possibly be?
I can't remember his name now. Fightful say as Vince McMahon is gone, many of his standards and rules are out the window. One source said that pro wrestling is no longer a dirty word. There are very few dirty words anymore. The dirty words that do exist, people just seem to say, even though we've got memos telling us not to.
Well, you're going to find them. Oh, the FCC aren't happy that you said the F word. There's $5,000. Shut up.
There is one particular word that is being cut out from the company, and Fightful reporting there is a concentrated effort for WWE to disassociate from Vince McMahon as much as possible. Stephanie McMahon, however, is very much back in the fold and was welcomed with open arms backstage. This is despite being publicly named in the Janelle Grant allegations, in the Janelle Grant lawsuit, as corporate officer number 3. So in the suit, which is aimed at Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and WWE, a few corporate officers were mentioned in there as being on the periphery of what was going on, and Stephanie McMahon was one of those. Fightful asked if, with all that in mind, if there were any hesitations in bringing Stephanie McMahon back in.
They said those we spoke to said that they haven't personally heard of how Stephanie addressed the allegations that she knew of Vince engaging in inappropriate conduct. One source said that the situation had to be a complicated one for Stephanie, and they personally believed her appearance was her firmly picking a side publicly. TKO sources said that they'd be supporting Stephanie McMahon in this situation. We've not been told that Stephanie's back in any full-time capacity. A half dozen sources we spoke with universally claimed that they'd welcomed her back, said Fightful.
Now, when it comes to Stephanie McMahon's promo on night 2 of WrestleMania, Fightful said it was kept very quiet internally and it was actually listed as a Triple H promo on the run sheets that got leaked.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. The running order was always going to get leaked. Everything gets leaked ahead of the event these days. So I think that if they wanted it to stay as a surprise, it made the most sense. But also, in a way, if it got to a point where Stephanie maybe didn't want to go down to the ring, it meant that she wasn't already announced and on a schedule, and it could be Triple H. She just went down to welcome people.
There's also concerns that Bruce Pritchard had acted on behalf of Vince McMahon. I think this is a conversation that's happened a few times where when Vince McMahon was away, he was kind of there via Bruce Pritchard.
Yeah, he's like Vince's analog. Like Vince, he's like a conduit for Vince's way, I guess, in terms of like the on-camera presentation and everything.
Also, there was concerns well that Nick Khan himself had knowledge of Vince McMahon's alleged misconduct. And Fightful asked WWE sources about this since this is a new era. And they say one longtime talent said when they expressed their concerns about people with knowledge or aiding Vince still being with the company, they were told nobody is indispensable as it relates to this. Specifically, they were pointed to the fact that not only had WWE survived without Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, Kevin Dunn, who had left for other reasons, not only had they survived, but the company had thrived and did better than ever. The talent was told that Endeavor believes that anyone can be replaced in the event. Even important figures need to be removed.
I think that it shows that Endeavor are willing to look at the long term, which is a very good sign. I agree that every single person is replaceable in the company if they are willing to keep that company moving forward for as long as they're in charge. Then I guess if they're willing to find replacements, they're able to replace people. But I will say that it's got to be harder to replace certain roles, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that anybody is sort of free of this, right? Not quite at the level where it's like a sword of Damocles hanging over talent's head, where it's like, oh, I'm not doing too well, they're gonna like fire me and replace me. Like, I don't think it's like that. I just think it's very much like, okay, if you are like, everybody's moving in the same direction, but if you start pulling away from that direction, then you're gone. Or if something comes out, you're gone. Like, it's one of those things where the company needs to protect itself, right? Yeah, and the fact that they pushed Vince McMahon to leave in amongst all these allegations. The man who was so synonymous with the company, he built the whole company. Yeah, we never thought it would survive without him, right? For the longest time. So it sets a precedent to say like everybody is replaceable as and when they need to be, if they need to be. To Raw from last night, a notable absence was the former world champion Seth freaking Rollins. The Observer reporting today that after losing the title at WrestleMania 40, he's taking some time off. So we're not going to see Seth Rollins for at the least 4 weeks. Yeah, it makes sense. Just let Seth have all the time to recover. He was Cody's Shield, damn it. He was indeed. So I think that he deserves a little bit of a break. And also, I mean, fair play to him, who he suffered an injury at the start of the year. He suffered that meniscus tear in that match with Jinder Mahal and got into fighting shape in time for WrestleMania. So I think absolutely deserves an elongated break if he can get rest
one.
And rehab as much as possible. Yeah,
absolutely. WWE are hoping to have Seth back after those 4 weeks, but it's just not certain yet. It's one of those where there are storylines and stuff in place that Seth can now afford to step away, let people miss him, and then come back stronger. That's it. And without having to defend the title constantly, he has that time to just relax. And even if he needs to come back on camera and he's not quite fully fit and ready to go, he can still go on the mic. So I think it's one of those where you can put Seth back in if he's not completely ready to go without him having to wrestle, right? Absolutely. We're still very much bathing in the afterglow of WrestleMania 40. Later today, how well do you know your WrestleMania themes? We'll put it to the test on the YouTube channel this evening. I think you'll find that it's the Linda McMahon theme for like 10 years. The ultimate theme, I'll have you know. And we'll have more wrestling news throughout the day at cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.